Have you ever wondered what sets highly spiritual people apart from others? It's not just about meditation or burning sage, it's often about what they choose to let go of. Today, we're diving deep into 6 things that spiritually evolved individuals gradually release from their lives. And trust me, this journey of letting go is far more fascinating than you might think. Let's start with something that might surprise you. The first thing highly spiritual people quit is the need to always be right. This isn't an overnight transformation. It's a gradual process of understanding that being right isn't nearly as important as being kind or maintaining peace. Think about it. How many relationships have been damaged because someone couldn't let go of being right? Spiritual individuals recognize that ego attachment to correctness creates unnecessary barriers between people. They begin to notice how their body feels when they're in an argument, that tightness in their chest, the tension in their shoulders. They start asking themselves, is winning this argument worth the energy it's consuming? Over time, they develop what I like to call rightness resistance, the ability to let go of the need to prove their point, even when they know they're correct. This doesn't mean they become pushovers. Rather, they choose their battles wisely and understand that sometimes peace is more valuable than proving a point. The second thing they quit is the habit of comparing themselves to others. This is particularly challenging in our social media driven world, where everyone's highlight reel is constantly on display. Spiritual people gradually understand that comparison is the thief of joy, as Theodore Roosevelt famously said. They start to recognize that every person's journey is unique and incomparable. Instead of measuring their success against others' achievements, they begin focusing on their personal growth. They ask themselves, am I better than I was yesterday? Rather than, am I better than someone else? This shift in perspective is transformative. They start celebrating others' successes genuinely, without feeling diminished by them. They understand that someone else's light doesn't dim their own. In fact, it adds more brightness to the world. The third element they release is the attachment to material possessions. Now, this doesn't mean they become ascetics or give away everything they own. Instead, they develop a healthy relationship with material things. They start questioning the emotional value they place on objects and begin to understand the difference between wanting something and needing it. This process often begins with small steps, maybe decluttering a closet or choosing not to buy something they don't need. They start noticing how possessions can become burdens both physically and mentally. They observe how the pursuit of material things often leads to a cycle of temporary satisfaction, followed by the desire for more. Over time, they learn to find joy in experiences rather than things, in connections rather than collections. The fourth aspect they gradually quit is the need to control everything. This is perhaps one of the most challenging releases because it requires tremendous trust in the flow of life. Highly spiritual people come to understand that while they can influence outcomes, trying to control everything is not only exhausting, but ultimately futile. They begin to notice how much energy they waste trying to manipulate situations to their desired outcomes. They start practicing surrender, not in a passive way, but in an active, conscious manner. They learn to distinguish between what they can control and what they can't, focusing their energy on the former while learning to accept the latter. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of letting go, of trusting that sometimes the best thing you can do is allow things to unfold naturally. The fifth thing they release is the habit of judging others. This is a profound shift that occurs as they develop deeper empathy and understanding. They begin to realize that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own burdens, and doing the best they can with what they know. They start to see that judgment often says more about the judge than the judged. This release happens in layers. First, they might catch themselves in the act of judging and consciously stop. Then they start questioning why they feel the need to judge in the first place. Eventually, they develop the ability to observe without judgment, to understand without condemning. They learn to replace judgment with curiosity, asking, what led this person to this point, instead of jumping to conclusions. The sixth and final thing highly spiritual people quit is living in the past or future. This doesn't mean they don't plan or learn from their experiences. Rather, they stop dwelling in times that aren't now. They understand that the present moment is the only time they truly have any power to create change or experience life fully. This is perhaps the most transformative release of all, as it affects every aspect of their lives. They begin to notice how much mental energy they spend either replaying past events or anxiously anticipating future ones. They start practicing presence in small ways, really tasting their food, fully listening when others speak, noticing the sensations in their body as they move through their day. What's fascinating about all these releases is that they're interconnected. As you let go of one, it becomes easier to release others. For instance, when you stop living in the past, it becomes easier to release judgment. When you quit the need to control everything, attachment to material possessions naturally loosens its grip. The beauty of this spiritual evolution is that it's not about forcing change or suddenly becoming a different person. It's about gradually letting go of what no longer serves your highest good. It's about creating space for more peace, more joy, and more authentic connections. These releases don't happen overnight, and they're not always linear. Sometimes you might find yourself slipping back into old patterns, and that's okay. The key is to approach this journey with compassion for yourself and others, understanding that spiritual growth is a continuous process, not a destination. What's truly remarkable is how these releases create a ripple effect in one's life. As you let go of these six things, you might notice your relationships improving, your stress levels decreasing, and your sense of inner peace growing. You might find yourself more able to handle life's challenges with grace and wisdom. So, what's your experience with letting go? Have you noticed yourself naturally releasing any of these aspects as you've grown spiritually? Or perhaps you're just beginning to consider what you might need to release in your own life. Remember, there's no rush. Spiritual growth is a journey, not a race, and each person's path is uniquely their own. The most important thing is to approach these releases with gentleness and patience, understanding that true spiritual growth comes not from forcing change, but from allowing natural evolution to occur. As you move forward on your spiritual journey, consider which of these six aspects might be ready for release in your life. And remember that every small step toward letting go is a step toward greater freedom and peace.